Hey everybody, Stu Smith here. I am going to talk to you today about something that we've been working on lately. And this is kind of our end of the summer, beginning of the fall cycle where we tend to focus on really crushing the PST. All summer long, we've been working on our calisthenics, higher rep, muscle stamina. We've been doing a lot of running, a lot of swimming, a lot of fast-paced swimming, a lot of technique work. But we've also been getting in some longer distances too, longer distances on soft sand, long distances to this big hill that we run. However, in the last few weeks, what we're trying to do now is take all of that foundational work that we've done and focus on the PST, right? And I'm going to show you exactly what we did. For those of you that are on the Facebook Live page, and on YouTube, if you're not live, I'll put a link below the video so you can see exactly the workout that I'm talking about. So anyway, it's a PST focus, and I'm going to share my screen here with those of you who are watching this on YouTube. In fact, if you're live, you can watch this on YouTube later. I'll post it up there in a little bit. So this is the classic, what I call the classic PST week. And it focuses on, calisthenics, running and swimming, obviously. But there's 3 workouts that I really focus on. And this can be for really any level of fitness, and it can take you from, below average, mediocre PST scores to killer PST scores. And it starts off like this. Like you see, day 1, we do a pyramid. Nothing fancy. Your classic PT pyramid with pull-ups times 1, push-ups times 2. If you want to make it a little harder, you can go push-ups times 3. That's fine. Sit-ups times 3, dips times 2 are optional. But anyway, this is a typical 1-10-1 pyramid. If you do the math, that's 100 pull-ups, 200 or 300 push-ups, depending on if you multiply by 2 or 3, 300 sit-ups, 200 dips. And you run a quarter mile or a half mile at goal pace every 5 sets. So at the end of this, you might get, somewhere between a, let's see, 2 miles or maybe one to 2 miles worth of goal pace running. Now you warmed up with a mile already, so there you are, 2 to 3 miles accumulated already. Then you finish this thing with a mile and a half timed. And what this does is this just gets your body used to that transition from going from PT to running, which is really tough to do because you got to do some transitioning work in there as well. And then at the end, we swim. Now, if you wanted to flip this upside down and make it really look like a PST, you could swim first. And you can see the swim there's a 500 warm-up. I like to start off every swim workout I do with a 500 warm-up. Why is that? Because you are going to now turn the PST, which is a 500-yard swim, pull-up, push-up, sit-ups, mile and a half run. You're going to turn that first exercise in your mind into a warm-up, right? It's simple as that. It's just one of those things. Whenever you swim a 500-yard to warm up, every time you jump in the pool for months, maybe even years, that 500-yard swim, when you get tested, you can categorize that as just your warm-up. Takes a lot of the anxiety down, and you can just jump right into the workout, and you're conditioned to make it such, right? So we focus on some freestyle, in the workout, try to get your heart rate up with the 6 to 8 strokes per breath type of mode. And then we also work on some goal pace 50 meters combat swimmer stroke swims, and you rest as needed. Now, the ultimate goal is try to do that workout with as little rest as possible. So your rest is actually a 50-meter combat swimmer stroke at your goal pace. So we try to get everybody's goal pace down to 50 yards in 50 seconds. So a yard per second is your goal pace. So no matter what you're swimming, You're going to do it in 100 yards, 100 seconds, 500 yards, 500 seconds, 1,000 yards, 1,000 seconds. So that's a good pace just to learn how to do and get in shape to do it. Now, if you notice on day 2, we go leg day, and this is all calisthenic leg days and a lot of running. So we do this little run pyramid. Sometimes we'll do 50-meter runs in between a squat pyramid to warm up. Some, like this week we did 100-meter pyramid, right? So you did 1 squat, ran 100 yards fast, 2 squats, ran 100 yards fast, 3 squats, all the way up to 20. This one just has you going up to 10 because it's kind of a warm-up phase. And then we really hit these 6 half-mile runs at your goal timed run pace, resting with some squats and lunges, right? This is focusing on endurance, your goal pace, setting a pace, learning that pace, but also doing it with tired legs and working on your muscle stamina. That will be what works really well for timed runs, because typically there's 2 things that give out on timed runs, your lungs or your legs, right? And if you can work on your muscle stamina a little bit more, adding in some non-weighted calisthenic work, in between your goal pace sets, that's a really good way to do this. And like I said, I only do this little cycle here for a 3 to 4 week period, focusing on all this. And we move right into a test taking phase, and usually everybody's test scores are off the charts. So if you notice on day 3, that's my superset workout, and these are all sub-max rep workouts, but you get a lot of volume in it. So if you notice, we warm up with a mile run, we do 10 jumping jacks, 10 push-ups, do that 10 times, that's 100 push-ups right there, just start your workout. Pretty challenging if you're not used to that kind of volume. Then we do the PT superset, and this is kind of up to you with your level of ability. You can do it 5 to 10 times, pull-ups, 5 to 10 reps, push-ups, 20 to 30 reps, sit-ups. I try to get people in a range of 20 to 25 in a 30-second period, because I teach pace for sit-ups, and then dips. You go through that 5 times. If you can do it 10 times, go for it. If you can't do it 10 times, do as many as you can. The next one, we go through some goal pace running again, but this time at a 1/4 mile. And if you're a little banged up from running last 2 days, you can turn that 1/4 mile run into a 2-minute hard bike if you want to do that, and you rest with some flutter kicks. Just a different, movement exercise that's going to work your hip flexors, because when you do sit-ups, you're going to work your hip flexors a little bit. That's good to get those in condition as well. That's another reason why we do freestyle when we swim too, just to work your hip flexors a little bit. Swimming with fins is a real big one too. It's going to get your hip flexors as well. But then we swim afterwards, same workout as we did on Monday. Mobility day is Thursday, or day 4. That's a great one. If you've never done mobility day, I recommend it. It's just for one of those days where you just don't feel like you can go 100%. You're just kind of banged up, some little aches and pains, knee tendonitis are starting to catch up to you, and just need to give yourself a little bit of cool down, but you don't want to take a day off. So what I do is I do a 5-minute run, or 5-minute bike, swim, or elliptical. And then I do a 5-minute foam roller or stretch, and I repeat that 5 times. Afterwards, I get in the pool. I swim for 10 minutes. That's it. I tread for 10 minutes. No hands. That's tough, right? If you're not used to it. And I do 10 minutes of dynamic stretching in chest deep water. So high knees, leg swings, front and back, all those things. So that works really well as well to loosen up the hips. And then I practice some pool skills, some treading, some mass clearing, drown proofing drills, things like, just to work on some water confidence. Then we go leg day again on day 5. Pyramid workout like we did on Tuesday. Like I said, I'll put this chart here for you so you can kind of check it out. And you can either run for 5 minutes fast, or you can do a Tabata interval on a bike if you need to rest your legs, impact injury type stuff. But you also do squats and lunges every set. So you do that 5 times. So 5-minute run or bike, squats and lunges, repeat that 5 times. So now we're working our legs a little more. Then we swim, 500-yard swim, 1,000-yard swim with fins, work on some pool skills. If you can get a 1.5 miles after all of that, let's see where you are. Now, here's where the money's made for most of you guys. If you're stuck in the teens for pull-ups, or you're stuck at 70s for push-ups and 70s for sit-ups in 2 minutes, the max rep set workout is a great one for you. And what you do here is basically a Murph, but you get the 100 pull-ups, 200 push-ups, 300 sit-ups instead of squats, and you do it in as few sets as possible. How quickly can you get that done? That means you're not doing a pyramid with a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 build up. You're going hardcore till I fail every set, or you can limit your push-ups and sit-ups to 2 minutes, which I would recommend doing. So you can do 300 sit-ups in one set if you want, but you know, it's going to take a while and it's not really that smart. So let's work on your pace on that. So we'll do a 2-minute set for push-ups and sit-ups. That's your limit to how many reps you can get done. Max reps, pulls. You go through that cycle many times as you can. If you want to throw in a 1/4 mile run in between, just get the blood flowing a little bit, that's a good idea. Come back around, and then let's see if you can do 100 pull-ups, 200 push-ups, 300 sit-ups, somewhere between 4 to 6 sets. Once you get it down into the 4 to 5 sets, that's really good. I'd say that is very above average. I have seen guys do it, believe it or not, in 3 sets, which was quite remarkable. 100 pull-ups in 3 sets is legit, right? So, but that's how you go from mid-teens to 20s in the 20-25 zone by doing those max rep sets. You don't want to do it every day. You want to do it once a week. And give yourself a month, maybe 6 weeks of doing that workout once a week, and you'll see your scores go up really quick. So that was our week. We're going to go through this week probably 2 or 3 times. May change it up a little bit just to add some variety. May add a secondary lift, you know, after the swim later in the day, or another run, depending on how everybody's feeling. But my goal here isn't to burn you out with a workout, you know, that's just going to kill you at the end of the week. My goal is the next phase, as in this week. Let me share this week with you. If you see up here, for those of you guys who can see it, if you can't, once again, I'll put a link in below and share with you, on Facebook. But this week, what we're doing is we're doing something very similar to that same type of setup. However, we're moving mobility day to Friday and resting, and we're doing a double PST on Saturday. So that double PST is a 500-yard swim, push-ups, sit-ups, pull-ups, 1.5 mile run, stretch, hydrate a little bit for 5-10 minutes. And you do it again, but in reverse order. So you're going to do the 1.5 mile run again, pull-ups, sit-ups, push-ups, and do a 500-yard swim. You know, by that time, be honest with you, everybody's kind of beat up, and that 500-yard swim turns into not quite your best swim, but do what you can. And if you want to add a little extra credit to that, you can do the old 50-50 split workout where we do 50-meter free, 50-meter side. Do that 5 times, get yourself another 500. And then if you want to top it off with a 500-meter swim with fins, that's a good way to kind of cool down, shake it out, and get a little bit more of a workout than just a PST. So anyway, that's a way to make a PST easy, and you do that by doing 2 of them, right? And that's the mindset you got to have going into this thing, is that, you know, 1 is an easy day. A 500-yard swim is a warm-up to the rest of the test, right? So you can get really good at this test. You just got to prepare for it and practice it, and your workout should look a little bit like the PST. Right? I'm not saying you got to train for the PST for a year. This is something that you're still training 5-6 days a week, but you jump into a little quick cycle of 3 to 4 weeks max of just killing PST-like workouts. And I really like to do the pyramid, the superset, and the interval runs to get better at all this. And of course, the max rep set workout is a great way to do it too. But if you take a look at this one, it's pretty similar. Mostly, I didn't have any pyramids in this week, but I turned them into running supersets. So basically you're going to do your 400-meter run at goal mile pace, but in between those sets, you're going to do pull-ups, push-ups, and abs, sit-ups preferably, but you can also throw in flutter kicks in there or throw in a plank pose too, just kind of balance it out. One thing I really don't like to do is a lot of sit-ups without also working the backside, right? A lot of people don't like doing sit-ups at all, but I tell you, if you're going to take sit-up tests and that sit-up test is competitive, you need to practice some sit-ups. So there's just some little things that you need to do because you're going to get blisters on your butt bone if you don't have that little callus back there. You know, there's a bunch of little nuances, and your hip flexors get really tired when you do sit-ups. I mean, mix in some flutter kicks too, and swimming with fins, that all helps too. But on this week, we also mix in some 800-meter runs. So instead of just 400-meter runs at your goal pace, we bump it up a notch and do some 800-meter runs. Next week, we'll probably bump it up and do some 3/4 mile runs at your goal pace. So we'll actually see what our split time is for a 1.5 mile timed run. And try to match that set after set after set. That gets pretty hard to do, especially when you're mixing in pull-ups and push-ups and sit-ups, and we'll throw some push presses in there and dips, you know, just to kind of balance out some of the pushing activity. And then we do a little later lift in the afternoon. Sometimes we'll throw a swim in after the lift or a run, depending on what you need to work on. But if you notice, the two things that I have in common, or the one thing I have in common with the 2 weeks, is that mobility day. And that mobility day is critical for just mixing in a recovery day before you take a test. You can take a day off if you want, but I have found better results with doing some mobility work and some very light non-impact cardio the day before you get tested. So that's just from experience and trying it out with guys that are taking PSTs regularly. One other thing too is once you get really good at taking this PST and you can crush these double PSTs, the cool thing about that is when you take PSTs with your mentor or with the Navy or whenever, you got to take them often. Sometimes you got to take them every week or every 2 weeks, depending on what delayed entry program you're in, is you don't have to take a day off before a PST. You know, you can either do this mobility day, which you need one anyway, or you just do a regular workout and don't let a PST interfere with your training. Because once you're crushing PSTs, that's great. Now you got to get prepared to focus on getting through your future training, which this PST is good for SEAL, SWCC, EOD, diver, rescue swimmer. So once you get through the PST phase, you need to start focusing on getting through the training, and that means going a little more specific towards the timed events at, for instance, SEAL training, which are 4-mile timed runs, 2-mile swims with fins. You got to do some obstacle courses on time. And then, of course, just high rep calisthenics and longer distance running, you got to just be prepared for. So it's not just PST work that we're doing. We're also getting to a level of just crushing a PST any day of the week, even after a workout. That's the kind of level you want to be when you go into these training programs. So that is that's the week that we did this week and last week. We're going to do another week, and probably at Labor Day week it'll be our last week of this, and we're going to transition into more of our fall training cycle, which, if you're used to my periodization cycle, it will be kind of a 50-50 split of weights. We decrease the mileage per week a little bit, probably drop it down like 25% to what it is now, and then add some more faster paced intervals, do some sprints. Like this week, we even did sprints, like I said, with the hundreds, but we'll add 200-meter sprints, 300-meter sprints, and just run faster but shorter, right? It just works a different energy system and keeps us in shape for running without burning us out and doing all the mileage. So there you go. If you guys have questions, please just pop them in the comments below, and I will get to them. And like I said, if you want to see those weeks that I just created, I will put links into to them on my page, and I'll put them in the description of this video. Or if you're on Facebook, I'll put them in the comment section below. So there you go. That's Stu Smith, and I am out of here. Hope you guys have a good one.